Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You don't want to miss this story, because once upon a time, she gave her everything to the man she loved, and in return, he shattered her heart into 1,000,000 pieces. But fate has a funny way of turning the tables. 5 years ago, Sulian walked out of that towering skyscraper, her heart heavy, her body weak, and her soul completely broken. The man she had trusted more than anyone, CEO Lu Jian, had not just betrayed her, but cast her aside like she was nothing. With nowhere to go, and a secret she couldn't reveal, she disappeared from the city that had once been her whole world, and now she was back. This time, Sulian wasn't the helpless, naive woman she had once been. No, the one returning was a woman who had rebuilt herself from the ground up. A woman with a sharp mind, an unshakable spirit, and 2 little shadows following. Closely behind her, she stepped out of the sleek black car, the tall glass buildings reflecting her stunning transformation. Gone were the timid eyes that used to seek approval. Gone was the desperate love that once begged to be seen. Dressed in a tailored white suit, her confidence radiated in every step she took. The whispers started as soon as she entered the grand lobby of Lu Corporation. Is that Sulian? Impossible. She vanished 5 years ago, but she looks even more powerful than before. The employees could only watch in awe as she walked past them, ignoring the shocked expressions and hushed gossip. There was only one thing on her mind. It was time for Lu Jian to face the consequences of his choices. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the same building, CEO Lu Jian sat behind his massive desk, fingers gripping a pen he hadn't used in minutes. He had been lost in thought ever since. He heard the rumors. He didn't believe them at first. How could she be back? It had been 5 long years, 5 years of regret. 5 years of searching for a woman who had vanished into thin air, and now she was right downstairs. His heart pounded in his chest as the elevator doors opened, revealing the woman he had thought about every single night. But she wasn't the same Sulian. "Long time no see, CEO Lu," she said, her voice calm but distant, as if they were nothing more than strangers. Lu Jian stood up immediately, his eyes scanning her face, searching for even a hint of the emotions she once had for him. But there was nothing. "Sulian." His voice came out softer than he intended. He took a step forward, but she raised a hand, stopping him in his tracks. "Let's not waste time with pleasantries," she said coolly. "I'm here for business. Business." The word stung more than it should have. Before he could respond, the office door suddenly burst open. 2 small figures ran in, their laughter filling the room. A little boy and a little girl, both around 4 years old, came to stand beside Sulian. The moment Lu Jian's eyes landed on them, his breath caught in his throat. They had his eyes, his features, his blood. His heart stopped. "Mommy, is this the bad man you told us about?" The little girl tilted her head curiously. Sulian smiled, kneeling beside her daughter. "He's the man who made a very big mistake," she corrected gently. Lu Jian felt his entire world tilt. 5 years. 5 years of emptiness, of missing her, of guilt consuming him. And all this time, she had been raising his children. Without him, Sulian. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Are they?" She stood up, her eyes cold. "Don't ask questions you don't deserve answers to." And just like that, the power had shifted. 5 years ago, she was the one left behind, broken and forgotten. Now she held all the cards, and as Lu Jian looked at the 2 children, who carried his blood, he realized something. He had lost more than just Sulian. He had lost the family he never knew he had, and he wasn't sure if he could ever earn them back. Lu Jian felt the weight of the moment crash down on him, his breath uneven as he looked at the two children standing beside Su Lian. They were his. He didn't need confirmation. He could see it in their faces, in the way the boy narrowed his eyes the same way he did when he was confused, in the way the girl's lips pressed together as she studied him, just like Su Lian once had. But the most painful part, they didn't know him. They didn't run to him, didn't call him daddy. To them, he was a stranger, a man their mother had warned them about. His chest tightened as he stepped forward instinctively. But Su Lian moved protectively in front of the children. The message was clear. He had no place in their lives. Su Lian. His voice came out, hoarse. Why? Why didn't you tell me? A sharp laugh escaped her lips. Why? She repeated, shaking her head. Do you really need to ask that? Her gaze darkened, and the pain hidden in her voice sliced through him. 5 years ago, I was nothing more than an inconvenience to you, a stain on your perfect life. Do you remember how easily you threw me away? His hands clenched into fists. He did remember, and he regretted it every single day. Back then, Su Lian had been his personal assistant, bright-eyed and full of dreams. She had been hard-working, loyal, and foolishly in love with him. And he had been blind, caught up in his world of wealth and power. He had pushed her away the moment things got complicated. When she told him she was pregnant, he had let his pride and fear dictate his actions. He had doubted her, questioned her intentions, thrown cruel words at her instead of standing by her side, and she had left, disappeared without a trace. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late. He had searched for her, but it was as if she had vanished into thin air. Now he understood why. She hadn't just been hiding herself. She had been protecting their children. The little boy tugged at Su Lian's sleeve, looking up at her curiously. Mommy, why is he staring at us like that? Su Lian's expression softened as she knelt beside her son. Because he's realizing something important, baby. She brushed a hand through his hair. He's realizing that he lost something he can never get back. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Lu Jian swallowed hard, his throat dry. Lian, I know I made mistakes, but please, let me be a part of their lives. Su Lian's eyes turned cold again as she straightened. Be a part of their lives. She scoffed. You don't get to walk back in and decide that now. You know how many nights I stayed awake, wondering if I had done the right thing? How many times I wanted to call you, only to remember the way you looked at me like I was nothing? She took a step closer, her voice sharp. I built my life from scratch. I raised them alone. I became strong for them. And now you think you can just claim them because you suddenly feel guilty. Lu Jian's jaw tightened. He had never seen her like this before. So fierce, so unshakable. The woman in front of him was nothing like the girl who used to follow him with hopeful eyes. She had changed, and it was his fault, but he wasn't going to back down. I know I can't undo the past, he said, his voice low but firm. But I won't walk away from them now. No matter what you think of me, I'm still their father. Su Lian's lips curled into a bitter smile. Father. A father is someone who is there from the beginning. A father is someone who stays. Her words left no room for argument. But before Lu Jian could say anything else, the office door opened again, and a tall, confident man stepped in. His presence immediately shifted the energy in the room. Lian, the man said smoothly, walking toward her with a warm smile. You ready for our meeting? Lu Jian's eyes darkened as he took in the man's appearance. The expensive suit, the relaxed confidence, the way he placed a hand on Su Lian's back with easy familiarity. Who was he? Su Lian smiled at the man, a smile she never gave to Lu Jian anymore. Yes, We were just finishing up here. Lu Jian felt something ugly rise in his chest. And you are? The man turned to him with a polite but knowing smile. Ah, I don't believe we've met. I'm Xu Wei, Lian's business partner. But the way he stood beside Su Lian, the way she didn't push his hand away, told Lu Jian that he was more than that. A cold realization settled over him. In the 5 years that she had been gone, she had moved on, not just in life, not just in business, but in love. And for the first time in his life, Lu Jian felt something he had never truly felt before. Fear. Fear that he had lost Su Lian forever. Lu Jian stood frozen, his gaze fixed on Xu Wei, the man who had taken everything from him, his family, his place in Su Lian's life. The smile Xu Wei wore seemed to mock him, as if he knew exactly what Lu Jian was feeling. But it wasn't just the business partnership that stung. It was the way Su Lian looked at Xu Wei, as if he had always been there, as if he had been the one to help her pick up the pieces when everything had fallen apart. A cold wave of realization swept over him, and for a moment, Lu Jian wondered if he had already lost, not just his children, but Su Lian's heart too. Su Lian didn't need him anymore. She had built something of her own. She had raised their children without him, and now she was standing beside another man, a man who had become her partner in every sense of the word. But Lu Jian couldn't give up. Not yet. He couldn't walk away from his family. Lian, he said softly, his voice filled with a mix of hope and desperation. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm not asking for you to forget them. I'm asking for a chance to show you that I can be the man you deserve, that I can be the father they deserve. Su Lian's eyes softened for a fraction of a second, but then she shook her head. It's too late, Jian. You had your chance. I waited. I hoped. But now I have moved on. I've built a life for them, for me, and I won't let you destroy it. The words hit him like a slap, but they weren't unexpected. Deep down, he had known she had moved on. She had a family, a life. And he was just a man trying to fix a broken past. Please, Lian, he whispered. Let me be part of their lives. Just give me one chance to prove it to you. There was a long silence as Su Lian's eyes flicked to their children, who were quietly watching the interaction. She took a deep breath, and for a moment, Lu Jian thought she was going to say no again, to shut him out once more. But then, something changed. She looked at Xu Wei, and there was a quiet understanding between them, an unspoken agreement. Xu Wei stepped forward, his presence calm, but firm. Lian, he said, his tone almost protective. I think it's time we let him try. For the children's sake. Lu Jian's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect this. Xu Wei was allowing him a chance. Su Lian looked at him, her expression unreadable. I'm doing this because I want our children to know their father. But understand, Jian, this is a one-time chance. Don't disappoint them again. The words were like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Lu Jian grabbed it with both hands, determined not to let it slip away. He nodded, his voice thick with emotion. I won't let you down, Lian. I promise. As the days passed, Lu Jian worked hard to earn their trust. He spent time with his children, taking them to parks, helping with their homework, and simply being there. But it wasn't just about showing up. It was about showing his sincerity. Slowly but surely, the walls his children had built around their hearts began to come down. They started to open up, laugh, and let him in. But the real turning point came when he sat down with Su Lian one evening, just the two of them. I never realized how much I hurt you, Lu Jian said quietly. I never understood the weight of my actions until now, and I'm sorry. More than you could ever know. Su Lian's eyes were distant, but there was something in her gaze that softened. I don't need your apology, Jian. I needed you then, but now it's about them. It's about making sure they grow up with the love they deserve. And if you can do that, if you can be the father they need, then that's enough. He didn't know if they could ever go back to what they once were. But he wasn't asking for that anymore. He wasn't asking for her love or her forgiveness. He was asking for the chance to do right by their children, to be a father they could be proud of. And so, Lu Jian fought for his family. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, moments where he thought he had lost everything again. But he didn't give up. Slowly their bond grew stronger. His children began to trust him, and Su Lian saw that he was changing. She saw the man he had become, and it wasn't the same man who had left her all those years ago. One afternoon, as Lu Jian walked with his children, his daughter suddenly looked up at him with a smile. "Daddy, do you think we could go to the zoo this weekend?" Lu Jian's heart swelled at the sound of the word "daddy" coming from her lips. It was small, but it meant everything. "Of course, sweetheart, whatever you want." Later that evening, as he sat across from Su Lian, she met his eyes with a faint smile. "You've come a long way, Jian. I can see it now. You're not the same man who walked out on us." He smiled, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. "I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. For them. For you." Su Lian nodded. "That's all I ever wanted." And as Lu Jian looked at the family he had nearly lost forever, he knew he would never take them for granted again. The past could never be undone, but he had the present, and he was determined to make it count. As the days went by, the bond between them grew stronger, and the future, once uncertain, now seemed filled with possibilities. But one thing was clear. This time, Lu Jian would never walk away again.